Hey everybody, this is part 2 of the Scratchboard project. So I'm going to move to my document camera so we can see what we're up to. All right, here we are. So here's my printout of the image I worked on in Photoshop. You will notice that I printed it out the same size as the Scratchboard. So that gives me a good reference to work from. And now what I recommend doing is starting with a simple sketch. So just, I would say grab your sketchbook or a sheet of paper. I recommend, even copy paper is fine. Draw it to scale. All right, I'll just trace the sketchboard here and start to map this out a little bit. All right, hopefully you can see my lines okay. Not the best lighting today. At any rate, reference your image, measure things out, right? Think about the scale and proportion, what you're working with, and start to build that into a sketch to start. So I'm just going to start. I'm kind of drawing around chords and things like that, but just getting a basic overview of what this will look like. Okay, I'm really most concerned with contour right now. I'm thinking about how these lines are going to come together and thinking about the outline, shape, and form. I'm trying to draw extra dark so you guys can see what I'm doing here. There we go. And then also make note of where any of the good contour lines are coming through the object. I'm seeing like these coming through here pretty well. All right. There's certainly some sort of circular mark here. Oh, got a knock at the door. Just going to pause for a second. Okay, so this isn't too bad. I went a little further here. I've got, some of the basic contours and kind of making note where some of these marks are. So there's these bumps in here that are kind of important to highlight. So I'm going to add some of these in here. There's this kind of line that cuts across. There's more linear. There's another little bump here and some details kind of coming through. I also might want to make a few of these marks that are wrapping around the shell. So contours are good to follow. Make this a nice contour line drawing before you really start going into it. All right, so there's my sketch. There's my image, the reference sketch. And now I want to get this on to here. Well, what we're going to be doing with that is using an X-Acto knife, all right? So you're going to be using a sharp blade. This cannot erase at all. And so what I recommend doing, again, is starting with the sketch. And then what you can actually do, if you have a mechanical pencil or even a ballpoint pen, this works pretty well. So I'm just going to take my board, put it down. I'm going to take my sketch that I've generated and kind of line it up. Meets all four corners there pretty well. And then I'm just going to spend a little bit of time kind of pressing down over my contour lines. And, careful not to move this as you're sketching over this. I'm pressing down pretty hard because I want this to transfer just a little bit of a line that won't make a heavy mark, but it will have a little bit of a indentation so that I can follow the marks. I have a little bit of an image to work from. All right, I'm just going to pause so you don't have to sit through. Okay, so I have outlined my sketch pretty well on this board. And what I have, you can see it's a pretty strong contour line now. And again, I've pressed down pretty hard over this. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not. Unless I really... There's a faint, you can kind of see it. There's a faint image on here of the outline. So it's just a little bit of something that I can kind of follow that won't mess up the board too much. And then I'm going to start with my Scratchboard process. So I'm going to look at my drawing again and start with a little bit of the brighter areas. This whole area here, this contour is pretty well lit. So I think I'm going to start by outlining a little bit of that, kind of come in and then slowly build the contour lines, less lines down here, more lines over here where it's lighter, and kind of build that through. So you have 3 boards. You'll only need to do 2 finished ones, so you can use the third board as a practice. But ultimately, what you're going to want to do is just simply start to scratch in to the surface. All right, so you can see I'm revealing the white underneath, and I'm just following a bit of the contour lines that I've essentially transferred onto the surface um, by scratching it. Now I have to actually like look to the side where the light is coming in to see this, but I can trace it along pretty well. If you can't, turn your board so you can see what you're doing and follow those contours all the way through. Now you may even want to do more of a, you know, dotted line or a disconnected line when you start, just so you kind of visualize where you're going with it. And again, start in the highlight areas and follow this through. My voice is funny because I'm crouched over in a weird way. Move your board around so it's easiest to scratch. Pause to get a little further along here. Okay, so you can see I've got the basic outline going here. And let's see if we brighten this up a little bit. There we go, maybe you can see a little bit better. We've got the basic outline going, and now I'm starting to look for where I can add a little bit of different mark making. So here you can see I'm starting to work from light to dark, and just kind of bridge that in. So, you know, it's definitely going to be lighter up and through here, so I can be a little bit more liberal with the way that I'm removing marks. But play around with contour and really use the line to shape the dimension. So the contour following the form will help give dimension and clarity, even as you're starting to work into the light areas. Certainly in the dark areas, it's really important as well. So hatching is important as well. So etch away one direction and then etch away another direction to start to reveal more of what you've got. Let's see if I can focus on this a little bit more here. There we go. So here you can see I'm using one direction of marks, and then I'm also using another direction of marks here. And the combination of those are going to create different varieties that I can start to build into this. And then, of course, as I'm contouring, really thinking about where the light and shadows are entering in to get more detail and form and dimension. So I'll work on this a little bit by little, but this is a slow build up of line. And ultimately, what you're going to want to do is have a wide range of value through line, and you're going to have two of these that relate to one another. So if I were to do this shell, you know, maybe I would want to do something else that relates to the sea, or something else that has been made by an animal. That could be interesting. Well, many different ways that this can go. But ultimately, again, 2 Scratchboard projects, work your way slowly up from light to dark, and see where this can take you. All right, one final last look at a little bit farther I got in this area here. You can see I've got a lot to go to build it up, but I'm starting to get some nice dimension and form by crisscrossing and hatching the lines. So let's get a little closer look here. There we go. You can see how the lines are coming together, hatching back and forth, getting more dimension and form. All right, that's all for now. I'll see you soon.